All right, here we are. We're at 1 year of ownership on the Shirley, the 500 gallon. I guess by the title, some of you might have clicked on here wanting to know what I hate about this thing. The only thing I hate about it is I did not order it sooner. Love this cooker. Everything about it works great. Insulated firebox. We're parked on an angle at the moment, so in my yard. Insulated firebox is awesome. I don't think that's a necessity. Still, I've cooked several thousand pounds of meat in this thing. Definitely not a necessity, but it does make it run a lot smoother. I've owned like 11 or 12 of these things, and something I've noticed, and that I had Tyler specifically do, is I wanted this welded flush, just so water and other debris and things like that didn't get in there and trap it and rust it out. You can see it's just held up great. The firebox, obviously it's not going now, but you can touch it about like that long when you have a fire going in it. So a kid's never going to burn themselves. If they burn themselves on this, they hold their hand on there too long, my opinion, they might have had it coming, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, very safe and also very efficient. Black wheels, love them. Look great. I am pretty anal retentive about everything I own. Whenever I'm at an event, I armor all the tires, and you would not believe how many people have said, look at that, his tires are armor-alled, he must take care of his stuff, which I do take care of my stuff. Another thing I like, this trailer and this cooker's in the center of the trailer. I had them extend the bars out to the end. I love that. I gained extra space, but I didn't go out any wider than what I needed to. So just that added space and not making the trailer any wider, for me has been awesome. One thing I didn't do originally whenever I purchased this was I didn't think about having a stack cover made for when this thing is folded up, if you're going to store it inside or whatnot. I mean, it's a very, it's a tall stack. I think it's like a little over 6 foot tall or something like that. I think I mentioned it on the other video a little over a year ago. Anyway, I had Tyler make me a stainless steel plate with a handle on it. Fits the bolt pattern nice, and stick it down in there. Because whenever I had it in my garage, or my whole garage smelled like barbecue, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but and then also keeps stuff out of there, especially if you're going to travel with it with the stack folded. I would 100% have Tyler or Paul make you a cover on this just to protect it. You don't want road grime and stuff like that going in there. I've got this thing loaded up. I'm getting ready to do a cook, like 36 pork butts on this thing. So plenty of wood storage, and you can even store wood in the firebox if you want. It holds a ton. I mean, that firebox is half of a 250 gallon propane tank. You can hold a ton of wood in there, and I typically do. All I really have to take to this cook is just the wood and just some odds and ends. The place I'm cooking for is going to provide the meat and all that. One thing I would recommend is when something I might have screwed up on is I just told Tyler, hey, give me some storage up front. And what I should have done in hindsight is measured out exactly how much storage I wanted. I initially told him I wanted it a certain length on the trailer, on the the removable hitch, so it would fit in my garage. I carry all my stuff in a Milwaukee pack out up front, and it does fit in between here and here, facing that way. But barely. So if I were smarter, and hopefully somebody that's watching this will learn from my mistake, I kind of have to wedge it down in here. Measure out what you think you might haul, and then decide how much storage you want up here. Because again, I've got an Alto sham. I would have loved to put that Alto sham on here, but there's no way that it will, there's no way that it'll fit. The other thing, and I wanted it this way, I would say to save you from having to yell at your buddy or whatnot, if you get the trailer like this and it's, you know, it's highly customized, it's going to cost a lot of extra money to do this, I would have Tyler weld some, just like a round bar right there in the center, or, you know, every so often. It's not going to break or bend or, you know, anything, but it does flex. And I get some of my buddies sitting on there leaning up against it, and I got to say, hey, you know, get off of that, because as you can see, it moves a little bit, but that's, again, my fault. I told him I didn't want that in there, but just a couple, you know, more of these, like right here. I thought, you know, look how much sturdier that is. You can't move it. So I should have done that. That's probably the only, you know, thing maybe I wish I'd have done different. It's just, and again, it's my fault. Love the expanded metal here on the back. I know you've seen Paul do a million videos talk about sitting with your backside up against this, and believe it or not, I took his advice about, I don't know, 3 months ago at a cold cook, and I set my backside up against that. Really nice, and I think it just kind of finishes off the whole trailer. Love the eyebrow over the firebox. Literally no water at all gets in this thing. You could leave it outside in a hurricane, and I don't think you're going to see any water inside the firebox. My grate pulling tool, I just leave it right down in here. I didn't get handles on this thing because I think they take up a little space. You know, we got welder's gloves on and all that. You should be able to just yank those shelves in and out. The finish, I mean, is held up great, as you would expect. The one question I get from my buddies, a lot of people, is why did you not get it painted? And the reason I didn't get it painted, this, you know, fancy candy apple red or shiny black or, you know, anything like that, is I knew this thing would have to sit outside from time to time. It doesn't sit out all the time, but when you have I've had plenty of black ones, and when you have that, you're going to get like the little like runs in the paint. And on this, it just all blends in. It doesn't matter. These tanks are so thick. I mean, this thing's going to be here after I'm gone. Hopefully my kids are cooking on it, or somebody else's kids. Eyebrows, I mean, love the eyebrows on here. Like we said, gauges, they're the Shirley gauges. They're 3-inch. They put, I think they put 4-inch stems. I'm a fan of the 2.5-inch stem. Because I think the gauge is just, it's just a reference point. I mean, 4-inch, 2.5-inch, whatever. They're all going to work the same. The only reason I like the 2.5-inch is it's just less to interfere, less to hit with the meat when you have this thing loaded down. These latches, I mean, ingenious. I've seen other people starting to do them. The drip bars, again, it's like these little things, but if you look at other people's cookers, they've got, you know, this grease or this, you know, run all the way down them. They all have that. That drip bar really helps keep everything in the main chamber of this thing, so you're not, you know, grease dripping everywhere. Again, my grates are removable. They slide in and out. I see a lot of people that don't get that, and I have no idea why they don't get the grates that slide out. This tank is 37 inches in diameter. Do you want to stick your head all the way in there to get meat when it's 275, 300 degrees? You know, I do not. I mean, I want to keep my eyebrows. But, yeah, so if you want the extra space, flip it over. I've had people ask about the hot spots. And the nice thing is the grates slide out. So if it gets a little hotter on this end, my dad and I, or whoever's helping me, will take this grate out, take that grate out, put this grate down there, and this grate down there. And then you could flip them 360, so you could have the meat down here, flipped around, and you can have it right over there if you want. The third grate, I've had a lot of people ask about the third grate. You got your, you can get your hand in there, no problem. I've cooked pork butts up there. Now, will they rub a little bit on the top? Maybe. But in my mind, you're pulling them anyway. Is it a little bit hotter? Of course it's a little bit hotter. Rotate them around. And it kind of goes back to, with all this meat, I think what people don't think, I see some of these big 500-gallon, 1,000 gallons without a shelf. You have a ton of meat on these things. So when you slide that out, that meat is going, that juice is going everywhere. I've been in a parking lot, and the last thing I want to do is have this meat juice and fat and drippings and all that go straight onto the ground in their parking lot. I mean, you could put cardboard down, whatever you want to do. But if you don't have a shelf, it's still going to seep through, whatever. If somebody's letting you use their parking lot, in my mind, you want to leave it better than you found it. So yeah, I've got the locks on here. A nice addition. Luckily, nobody's stole my grates or whatever. So anyway, the probe ports, I don't use them. I mean, I had them in there just in case. But I mean, if you're buying a 500 gallon, I don't know that you really need that. I mean, but I don't know how much they are. $20, $30, 15, something like that. Not a whole lot. The one thing I do wish I had done. So these tracks here are removable. Just held up with a bolt. Works awesome. I've cooked a whole hog on here. And you need that extra space to get a decent sized whole hog. I did not have the removable track on the third row, just because I thought, well, a whole pig's not gonna, interfere, with, you'll be able to get it under there. I wish I would have done the removable track. Don't know why I didn't. I guess just, didn't think I needed it. It's still not a big deal, but I wish I would have went ahead and put that on there, just to take them out. I mean, guys, you're probably not going to cook on that third row a lot, but the cost to have the extra space, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's however long, that is. I mean, that's like, one of those is like 4 or 5 Weber kettle great sizes. So for the extra money, that's not very much. I think I would 100% add it in again. And then I've got that back here, Tyler made a grate that fits the dome. I have filled it up with meat, so I would do that again. Again, it's, just extra capacity. If you don't use it, you don't use it. But if you have it, you have it. I mean, I'm more about functionality over these cool fancy hinges or this weird trailer stuff. Like, I would rather spend my money on the cooking portion of it versus like, the fancy counterweights and all. Not to say that, if that's what you like, don't get it. I know there's some builders that really specialize in that. Shirley, they can do it if you want. It's just going to raise the price up. And in my mind, it does not help you cook any better or worse. But yeah, the tool holder, again, I love it. I just use these little Amazon, twisty things. Work perfect. I've never had them bounce around, none of that. I don't know, maybe one thing I would have had them do is this Like this bar, I might have had them on one side, take it straight out, and then follow that, just to have that extra. Like maybe you wanted to put like bottles or, you know, anything in there. You know, it's closed off, and then you could sit on the other side if you want. That might have worked out. Finish wise, again, I mean, it sat outside. It to me looks pretty much the same as it did when I brought it home a year ago. Temps are even. You can get this thing hot enough down there on the firebox end to grill. We did a fundraiser and cooked these turkey tenders, and we just got everything done and then threw those on, and I mean they were unbelievable. Stack, you know, that stainless steel stack was a pretty costly upgrade. So I just said, you know, you don't need the hinges, but that stack, I felt like that was kind of the centerpiece of the whole thing, and I'd do it over again. I mean, it's going to cost you. But yeah, I mean, you can see doors, everything still seals up nice. Pulls down the road just fine. You know, I keep my hinges greased. You know, no problems at all. You know, I mean, everything works just great. Again, I mean, if there's one thing I don't like about it is I did not order this thing sooner. It's something you know a guy might think about is a lot of people, they've asked me, okay, are these, you know, with the shelf being here, are you able to reach into the cooker? Yeah, but again, I mean, you don't have to if the grates slide out, and then you keep the mess from going from inside to on the ground. And I think a guy could even think about, okay, you say like on those 24 by 60s or 50s or, you know, whatever, 70s, a guy could even bring the shelf out just a little bit further, you know, out over the, I mean, and they do that. But yeah, I mean, you could come out even a little more to keep all that stuff off the ground. Something I've thought about is, you know, I've had like 40 some pork butts on here. And again, you'll get that residual that comes out. You know, something that might be interesting is having like a little stainless key stock, round bar, whatever you want to call it. Almost kind of like maybe like a Blackstone or something, and then have a drip can, you know, down here. Just because when you're on, you know, some of these parking lots, it'll, you know, it goes, you know, I mean, it can lean like this is right now. And it's hard to keep the stuff clean. I mean, on any cooker. So, yeah. And then, yes, that's a year later. I mean, we've been going to parking lots. We've sold 20 of 24 briskets in the rain. We've sold out 60 pork butts, actually 70 pork butts. It's just gone well. I love this thing. I could see myself getting the 1,000 gallon. In fact, I'd love to get the 1,000 gallon. So, who knows? Maybe at some point this thing will be for sale, and I'll be upgrading to a Shirley 1000 on a trailer. This behind me is kind of the new thing here. So, with all of the proceeds from going and setting up in the parking lot, I'm actually in the process turning this 7 by 16 by 7 trailer. I'm going to haul like food warmers and things like that. I'm not going to I didn't want a concession window, but that's for another day, and I could tell you why. But again, very, very happy with this. Nothing I would change. I mean, maybe just a couple little tiny modifications, but I think if you're on the fence of getting one, you should have put your deposit down a while ago, because I'm still saying, for what you get, this is by far the best 500 gallon smoker on the market. If you wanted to go tandem, you know, axles, last thing, you definitely could. Reason I didn't, I wanted to be able to move it around by hand if I needed to. So anyway, let me know what you think. If you have any other questions, concerns, tell me I'm wrong or right, whatever you want to do. But yeah, very, very happy with it. And some of you might notice I was pulling it with a Chevy with the 2.7 liter turbo. Got in the Ford F-150 with the 5.0. Had never had a Ford full-size truck. I had a 97 Ranger in college. A whole nother animal. But anyway, the 5.0 definitely pulls a lot better than the Chevy 2.7. All right, well, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Take care.